to growth. Success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the block.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Roach Growth listeners. Today I have David Dodge. He is a real estate investor and coach. Thank you, David, for being here today.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Real estate investor. First we'll get both. We'll go the real estate investor aspect first, and then we'll get into the coaching. Real estate investment. Can you dive a little deeper into what sort of real estate investment you do?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've been an investor since I was 20 years old. I'm 37, so I've been in the game 17 years. First 10 years, I did it very passively. I was just buying rentals, basically bought about a rental a year. 2 of those 10 years, I got lucky and bought 2 rentals. So I had 12 rentals after 10 years. And the last 7 years, I've been full-time in this business. I've been wholesaling, fix and flipping, and buying rentals at scale and using the BRRRR method to do so. So that's basically, a quick little bio. Done about 750 wholesale deals, roughly 200 BRRRR deals, about 1,000 transactions to date. Current portfolio sits at 92 units, and it brings in $21,000 a month in passive income.
Okay. And then when did you get into the coaching?
I've been coaching people for about 5, maybe even going on 6 years at this point. And it typically, it basically started out with, just friends coming to me, and I would, teach them what I knew. And then we grew it into having a small coaching group. It's all done in group setting. And at any given time, we have, 10 to 25 people in our group. And my focus with people is to teach them how to buy at a discount. And then from there, they can do whatever they want with the exit. They can fix and flip. They can add to their rental portfolio using the BRRRR method. They can wholesale, but none of those things are really possible without buying at a discount. So that's really where it starts. Learn how to buy at a discount, which basically means learn how to market directly to the seller and avoid on-market properties and agents. They're just going to get in the way, and they're going to eliminate your spread and your massive discount. And then again, from there, if you guys decide you want to fix and flip it, go for it. I'll happily help you. If you want to wholesale it, that's great. Love that. And if you want to do like me and your passion is to add rentals to your portfolio so you can have more passive income, we'll show you how to do that too. We love using the BRRRR method because again, like I said, I did this wrong for 10 years. I didn't say that before. I said I invested passively for 10 years, but if I were to reword myself here, I did it wrong for 10 years. And the reason I say wrong is I had to put down 20% when I was doing this passively. I wasn't finding deals. I was basically locating an agent and then a on-market property and then make an offer and then go to the bank, and the bank says, yeah, we'll lend you 80% of what it appraises for, but that was the purchase price. There was no discount. So I had to bring 20% to the table, and the average property I buy is 150 grand. That's 30K. So 30K you bring into the table is not a big deal. Once or twice, do it 12 times, it's almost 400K. It's slow. The average person can't do that 10 times a year, but with the BRRRR method, you can. So that's why I love the BRRRR method.
Do you want to tell people listening a little more about the BRRRR method?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. So the BRRRR method is an acronym for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. It's simple. It's very, very simple. It's an acronym. So the definition of the BRRRR method, in my opinion, is really just a strategy that us real estate investors use to acquire assets with little to no money. And the cool part is you can do it very rapidly. So that's what it is defined. But the acronym in itself is B with 4 R's. It stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So the big difference with this strategy is you're still going to the bank on the exit, except for you already own the property, you've already rehabbed the property, and you've already rented the property. So now the purchase price is no longer relevant, and the bank's still going to lend you 80% of what it appraises for, but the purchase and all-in number, ideally, is at 80% of what it appraises at. So you don't have to use any of your own money to acquire rentals. You can earn the equity, and you can use that forced appreciation. But when you're buying a property on market and you pay $150,000 for it, it's pretty easy for the appraiser to say, well, My job is to tell you what I think somebody's going to pay for it. And if you just paid 150, that's what the value of it is. So the purchase price and the appraisal are often very, very, very similar when you buy a property on the market, right? But when you buy a property direct from a seller and you get a 20 or 30% discount, and then you go and you fix that property up, you force appreciation, you get it rented. Well, now when you're walking into the bank, it's a whole different ballgame. You're not looking to create new risk and buy a property. You already own one. The property doesn't need any work because you just rehabbed it. So you've mitigated and reduced the bank's risk as the lender. You rented it. Oh, and by the way, you just rehabbed it. So now you can get market rent. And the whole purpose of rehabbing it is to mitigate all of your capital expenditures for the next 7 to 10 years. So the risk is very, very low for the lender. So now when you're walking into the bank, you already own it. You've already rehabbed it. Oh, and it's an asset. It's rented. So the banks are like, yeah, of course, we'll do these deals all day long. They're really, really easy to get approved for. The underwriting process is about a fifth, and you can get a refinance done in 2 or 3 weeks. But the reason I love this strategy, obviously, I just mentioned like 10 awesome things that right there, but is I can go buy a $150,000 house for 90 grand. I can put 20 or 30,000 into that, fix it up, make it look real nice, and have it appraised for 150 instead of paying 150. And now I can have the bank refinance out the private lender or the hard money lender that I use to get into the deal. That's what we teach our students, how to go out and buy rental properties, create assets, and do this with very, very little money, and often cases $0 out of pocket. That's the goal, $0 out of pocket.
And I don't know about David's classes. I just want you to be as transparent as possible. One of the biggest investment companies in Southern California makes more money on their classes than they do actually on their real estate. So there's a lot of people that are going out there. I mean, there's great people that have had success with this. And just be aware that it might not be as straightforward as possible. I mean, so just throwing it out there, kind of little asterisk there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll second that. Everything in life that is awesome and really moves the needle it's gonna require a lot of work. So if somebody, wants to think that they can jump into real estate investing and do it for 10 minutes a day, that's crazy. Don't do that. Don't have that mindset. But, all of these strategies work. The BRRRR method is really just a simple strategy to acquire rentals with little to no money. Seller financing is a great strategy to acquire a property, right? Lease option or seller financing on the exit's a great way to sell a property. There's 100 different strategies out there. So I second that. And people that come to me that don't have a marketing budget or they don't have time, I don't take them on, period. I don't want people to fail. I have about an 80% success rate with my students at this point.
Well, let's talk about your journey. Let's rewind a little bit. So I know you said at 20 years old is when you kind of started. Let's rewind before that. Was your family into real estate? Did you have friends in real estate? Who was a young David?
Yeah, none of my family was into real estate investing. Everybody in my family's owned a home, but nobody owned 90 units like I do by any means. In college, I had a professor that owned a bunch of rentals. And one of the courses that he taught was basically a mimic of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the book, was really what got me interested. It's what got me excited. He, the professor, taught that course. He also owned rentals. He would bring in his paycheck every other week or, every third week or whenever they would pay him. And we would just put it in the mail. He'd sign it over to a charity and put it in the mail. And I thought that was so cool, at the age of 18, 19 years old, which is before I started at 20, right? I guess I was 19, took that course. I got pumped up. I'm like, this is sweet. I want to be able to give my paycheck to charity. I want to be able to do good. Do you give your paycheck to charity? I highly doubt it, right? This guy did. And I thought that was amazing. And I was like, I want to be more like this guy. He helped me. And that's what I do for my students. So if you don't have what it takes to invest in real estate, you don't have the risk tolerance, the time, the money, don't do it. I'm not here to tell you to hire me, by all means. In fact, I would rather people learn this, learn how to do it slow than jump in and make mistakes. And that's what I tell my students. Don't quit your job. Don't go get crazy and buy 10 houses. Let's go slow. Let's figure this out. Let's do it right. But my business generates me almost $50,000 a month passively, right? So 20,000 of that is from my rental properties. And the other 30,000 of that is from other assets that we own. commercial properties. We do vehicles on Turo. We do a lot of affiliate marketing plays as well. So we have a lot of income that comes in. So whenever we teach our students, it's not all just about buying rental properties. It's like, hey, keep the best, wholesale the rest. I love doing that. We do that to this day. So we're going to do a ton of marketing, and that's where we're going to find deals. And no offense to real estate agents. I love working with real estate agents when they bring me deals. I love him helping me sell my deals. But here's why I don't like going through real estate agents on the purchase.
Yeah.
If I'm an agent and you're a homeowner and I come to your home, you call and you say, hey, I'm interested in listing my home. Can you come out and take a look? So I come out and I sit down with you. And, you know, my pitch typically, I'm not an agent, by the way, full disclosure, I'm not. My partner is, and we have agents that work for us. But this is the pitch. And tell me if I'm wrong. Please interrupt me. Hey, let's look at the comps and see how yours compares. Oh, the comps are showing 212,000 basically. That's the average. I think we should list yours for that. Hopefully we get that or more. What do you say? That's a pretty decent pitch, right? It's short and sweet. But the point that I'm trying to make,
not necessarily the case. I mean, but I know what you're saying. I mean, the idea for the realtor is they have a fiduciary duty to the actual seller to get the most money possible. Now, for an investor, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. An investor, the reason why there's value in the investor is people need the cash ASAP. They don't want to deal with the headache. They just want to basically be done with the property. That's why you're buying the property at below fair market value, right? That's where it is. If you bring an investor involved, now they're going to actually probably, for the most cases, probably pump the price up because now they're going to open to the open market. So for the seller,
yeah, I don't disagree, but I would love to. Yeah, I just would love to just emphasize one thing. Fair market is determined by time. If the seller has 3 months to sell, then fair market is what they get in 3 months. If they need the money in 36 hours, the market is the market. Who else is offering to buy a property cash that quick on the marketplace? I think we agree.
I've worked with a lot of investors. I work in the real estate thing. I've done investments myself, so I fully understand. I mean, there's not one thing for every single person out there, right? And there's not one realtor like every single person, not one investor like every single person, and every situation is different. I mean, and based off of the market you're in, I mean, maybe in the Midwest where days on market is, 3 months in a normal cycle, compared to another market where the days on market is 7 days. Yes, you still have to go through escrow. And I mean, there's flexibility on every single scenario, but yes, going directly to the seller that has a strong motivation, a strong need to get their cash, you're probably more than likely going to get, better value there, and the seller, if they can wait that extra month and get an extra 5%, 10% on their money, maybe it makes sense for them. So every situation is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can't put like everyone in the box, right?
100%. So, that's why time is the most important factor here.
Oh, time's a huge factor. Yeah, that's the biggest reason.
Same page. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. But the agent's going to present them to get the most money. You said it best. They have a fiduciary duty to them to solve their problem. But the fiduciary duty, by definition, doesn't mean the highest dollar amount. It means solving their problem the way they see fit. So I do the same thing, right? I come in and I say, hey, I don't pay retail. If you want that, go hire an agent. I got them working for me, or you can go talk to your cousin, your Aunt Sue. You probably know 10 of them. Great. By all means. I love being transparent with the seller. In fact, there's no better way. And this is what I teach. So, I'm going to basically buy a property at a 15 to 30% discount. I tell people that. Why? Because it costs me 10% to sell it. So if I do a 15% discount, it costs me 9 or 10% to sell it after the closing costs, the seller concessions, the title fees, the utilities, the taxes, the insurance, all the costs, right? The agent commissions, all this stuff. So if it's a 15% discount and it costs you 10, you're only making 5%.
Well, and I would just throw it in too for people that, are looking to be in the investment space right there. You got to be very careful if you also have your real estate license, right? Especially in the state that you're in California. There has been issues in the past where someone's bought a property at below fair market value, really low, and then the seller comes back later on saying that the wool over the eyes. just make sure you look at all avenues of it. But I have no ill will. I mean, I like investors. Great investors. I mean, especially when they're helping someone out in a situation. I mean, I've had a multitude of investors on here. I've had a multitude of investors I work with. And some people need the cash because they have a family event, a life event. They have something going on that they need the cash and need it really quick. I mean, so it's on the certain person, it's on the situation. So if you're doing right by the person and you're helping them out, like, I mean, David's teaching right here, I mean, all power to you. You're helping people out. So we're going to have create a different tangent right there, but let's talk more about you, David.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on that topic, helping people, I like to help people. So, whenever I buy a property from a seller distressed and I tell them straight up, I'm going to buy this at a 20 or 30% discount, they're okay with that. Right. But then who else gets helped? Well, we're providing business to title companies and survey companies, and there's people getting paid when, right? We then go in and rehab the property. We're bringing the neighborhood back. The neighbors love it. Guess who else loves it? The government, because now they're getting the taxes that they weren't getting on this distressed property owner, right? So we're bringing the neighborhood back. We're helping with the government and their income and their taxation. We're employing people by just doing the transaction. We're employing the rehab crews. And then we turn around and we rent that property out and we provide somebody with housing. It's amazing. It's a win-win for everybody. 100% of the time.
Let's rewind back. Okay, so you're getting most of your properties for the 10 years I think you're talking about. You're getting it on market. And then you start thinking about, okay, I can get better value if I get it off market. What was your first step? Were you taking classes? Did you have a mentor, or who was kind of walking you through basically your systems that you're going to put in place to get properties off market?
Yeah, I love that question. So I'm gonna answer that in two parts. Last year, my business partner and I bought 162 properties. 3 of them were on the market. Let that sink in for a second.
No.
Okay, so to answer your question, I did it wrong for 10 years. I did that strategy. I went to the MLS with an agent, found a deal, paid full retail for it, had to put down basically 30 grand on every property, 20%. And I was like, this is not sustainable. How is there people that own 600 single family homes? In fact, I have a friend who has that many. I only have 62, but I have 30 apartment units as well, right? So I'm trying to get up there as well. But how on earth can somebody own 100, 300, 600 properties if they have to put down 30 grand to buy every single one? So I just started reading books, listening to podcasts just like this one. And thank you not only for hosting this show, but for having me. I'm sure your audience is thrilled by all this value that you put out every day. And hopefully the value that I'm bringing to the table today is going to help somebody else achieve financial freedom and quit that job they hate, right? So to answer your question, I got sidetracked again there. I did it wrong for 10 years. So I hired a mentor. I listened to 100 podcasts, read hundreds of books, no exaggeration, hundreds of them. I still read a book or two a week on real estate investing because I'm obsessed, right? YouTube University, bought courses, went to masterminds, go to real estate networking events, go to RIAs. I probably spend 60 grand a year on education. So I'm constantly upgrading the tools that are in my belt and my mindset, all of the above. So whenever, I tell people that come to me, hey, I want to get involved, the first thing I say is hire a coach. Because not only is that coach going to educate you and instruct you, but I've purchased 1,000 properties in my life. I've lost money on 3 of them. So the first thing I want to tell my students about is how not to do the 3 out of 1,000. If I can avoid you to lose on the first deal or the first 10 or the first 100, it's worth it to hire the coach from the get-go. So that's what I would tell people. All the things work though. Read books. I've written 3 books. They're all on Amazon and Audible. Wholesaling, BRRRR Method, 2 on wholesaling, 1 on the BRRRR Method. YouTube University, right? Hire a mentor, go to RIA clubs, network with other investors. I mean, there's so many different ways to learn. A lot of people, they're not interested in putting in the time. Again, this is not a get rich quick game. Real estate investing is not, in my opinion. And the BRRRR Method, especially not. It's a get rich slow as hell game. But if you do it right and you're consistent, it's a get rich for sure game. But you got to have a 20-year mindset on it. And you got to shelter the storm here and there. We might be headed into one now, and that's fine. It's going to make all my properties drop in value if we have a dip. But guess what it's going to do? It's going to create a lot of motivation for people, which means that I'm going to be able to go help a lot of people and employ a lot of people and get paid to do it. It's such a win-win.
So going back to the first transition, I know you had the coaching. I know you were going the networking things. Was it mailers? Was it, wholesale deals? Do you remember that first deal that you got
100%. Yeah. Okay. Bandit signs, direct mail, driving for dollars, cold calling, cold texting, not keeping my business a secret was probably the most valuable thing I've ever done. And what I mean by that is don't keep your business a secret. You should be shouting it from the rooftops. If you are in the insurance industry and you're an agent, if you are a real estate agent, if you sell cars for a living, if you are a doctor, you should be telling everybody you know what you do all the time. Well, it's no different for a real estate investor. I make posts on Facebook. I buy houses for cash. Call me, right? We do that weekly. I spend money on billboards and radio advertisements, and we do bandit signs. We do direct mail, but a lot of it just comes from networking. The leads that you get brought to you by your immediate circle or your secondary circle, your acquaintances, or even your third circle, which is your acquaintances that connect you, are free leads. So focus a lot of your time and energy on those, right? Because they're free. It's going to take the longest to grow that. Let's be honest, do some direct mail and some bandit signs and some cold calling in the interim to get some deals. But at this point, 33%, a third of all the deals that we buy, and we're buying about 100 houses a year on average, really properties, because not all of them are houses, come from people that know who I am. So don't keep your business a secret. That goes for anybody in any business. It goes really well with this road to growth title too. Guys, if you want to grow your business, don't keep it a secret. If you have a product or a service and nobody knows you have this service, why would they call you?
There's a lot of smart people out there. There's a lot of people that are really good at what they do, yet are afraid to tell people what they do. I've seen people fall the business so quick. Be okay with who you are and tell people.
Hey, now we're driving. That's what I'm talking about, buddy. Absolutely. You can't keep it a secret. So, it's okay to dabble in things, but it's not okay to like have a goal to have a business and then dabble in business. Go all in on that, right? You're never going to grow anything if you half-ass it. Pardon my language. You want to know the secret to success? I'll tell you. Consistent, persistent action. You can't do it in less than 3 words. I just did it. That's it. You do anything consistently and you're persistent about it and you take action towards that goal, you'll get there eventually. It may not happen overnight, right? My first deal, it took me 3 months of dabbling with no success, hired a coach and did a deal within 3 weeks.
I would throw one last thing in there. For on your 3 is basically learning from the failure. I know, and you're talking about that you bought 1,000 properties right there and only had 3 that have really big failures. And there's probably other investors out there that had bigger failures or more failures, and not as all the success that you had. But learning from the failure. Once you figure that, because those first 3, you'll have a good career. You'll have a good life. Yet if you can get that 4th right there of learning from your failure, you can get to David's level or individuals like yourself, David. Would just be me.
I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. And here's another thing though, too, is like failure is part of the game, guys. Just because I only lost money on 3 deals didn't mean I haven't failed 100,000 times. I've lost money on 3 deals, but I fail on deals all the time that I'm shooting to make 50, 60 grand on and I make 10. That's a failure in my book. It's not a loss. That's a big difference, but failure is part of the game. So again, that just goes back to the risk tolerance. If you don't have a tolerance for risk, I wouldn't suggest you invest in real estate or become a real estate investor. I just wouldn't.
When you think of failure in your career, what is something that pops in your head?
I encounter failure every single day. I get hung up on. I get told that I'm not interested in selling. I get told by a contractor that the project's going to cost me double than what we anticipated. Every day I embrace it. Because if you just try to avoid it, that's basically the same thing as trying to keep your business a secret. I want everybody to know that I buy houses, and I want the biggest problems in the beginning. Tell me the biggest problem over breakfast. Now we have all day to solve this problem. Guess who gets paid the most money? It's the people that solve the most problems. So if you avoid problems, you're going to basically just go work for somebody else that's going to solve those problems. Would you disagree with that statement?
No. I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. I mean, there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I dealing with it? I go, oh, okay, because I get paid to deal with this.
Because
okay.
I get paid to deal with it.
Yeah. But
hey, thank you for having me on your show. I really
I appreciate you being here, David. Okay,
thank you.
When you have the failure, right? Because you're dealing with it, like you're saying, constantly. I mean, what's your process? I know for myself, sometimes based off the failure, I have to get a workout in, and then I get back to the actual situation. I mean, do you have something that you do that kind of walks you through, kind of working through that failure?
I'd same thing, man. Breathe. First and foremost, the only difference between excitement and fear is you hold your breath. Yeah. So if something bad happens, just take a deep breath. Your mind doesn't know the difference between it, right? You panic because you don't breathe. So you got to make sure to continue to breathe. Working out forces that. Why do you think people feel better after they work out? It's because they breathe the bunch. Come on. I mean, and there's lots of other benefits, of course. That's not the only thing, but you got to breathe. And you got to know that you made it this far. People always want to measure the gap, not the gain. Have you read that book yet?
No.
Dan Sullivan. I'll give you the 30-second spiel. This is going to change a lot of listeners' lives, right? First and foremost, I didn't write this book. Dan Sullivan did, but it's called The Gap and the Gain. And here it is. If you're watching, it's going to be much easier to understand, but I'll do my best to describe. Here's where you start. Right over here. I got my hand held in the air. I'm going to hold my other hand in the air 2 feet apart. Here's the ideal situation. So it's where you start over here on my left hand. It's where the ideal is. When you started, you had a goal in mind, and this is the goal. It's the ideal. And you get to here. Everybody measures the gap. Oh my God, I almost did it. I got 80% of the way there, but I didn't get it. It's a negative thinking. Any way you look at that, it's negative thinking. The gap. Don't focus on the gap. Measure backwards. When I started in this business full-time 7 years ago, never in my wildest dreams would I think I'd be doing 100 houses a year, ever. I thought I'd maybe get to 20 or 30. I'm doing 20 or 30 in a good month. So don't look at the gap. That's negative. It's going to self-spiral you into more negative thinking. Take a deep breath. Look at how far you've come. The gap and the gain. It'll change your life. Well, if you start thinking this way, always. And here, one more thing. This is how it sums it up, though. When you see yourself, or recognize is a better word. When you recognize yourself in the gap, that's okay. It's actually good, because now you have the ability to be like, okay, I'm thinking like I'm looking at the gap. I'm focusing on the gap. Self-identification, right? Now you can just say, hey, look how far I've come. Okay. Oh man, now I'm going to start feeling better. I'm going to start breathing. I'm going to start being happier. So whenever there's a problem, don't look at the gap of the problem. Look at the gain on the problem. You can use this gap and gain situation to not only your history, but the future too. Sorry, go ahead. Thank you for letting me finish.
No.
The gap in the gain changed my life. Changed my life.
No, you answered my question. Well, okay, let's talk about you're talking about that growth that you had over the last 7 years. I mean, let's talk about the growth, the plan in 5 years from now. Where do you see yourself and your company in 5 years?
5 years from now, I love real estate investing. So I'm gonna still be investing in real estate. I'm gonna still be buying rentals. I'm gonna still be wholesaling properties, and I still like to bring neighborhoods back to life and help people in the process all along the way in multiple different ways. So I'd imagine I'll be pretty close to where I am now in terms of, still out working. I like to work. I love working. I don't need to work at this point. I'm essentially retired at 37. But I like to do it. So I'd imagine I'd probably have my portfolio doubled, if not tripled, in that amount of time. So maybe 250 doors, 300 doors, anywhere from 70 to 100K a month in passive income. And then at that point, I'm just going to start helping other people get there. Most people's goal isn't even what they think it is. And let me explain that really quick. Most people's goal is to have more or to have financial freedom. Would you agree? Would you disagree?
No, I think that's
true. It's very, very basic, very broad, but that's most people's broad goal. Okay. Well, have you ever done the ask yourself why 5 times exercise? Why do you need financial freedom? Well, so I don't have to work anymore. Well, why do you not want to work anymore? Because I hate working. Well, why do you work in the first place? Well, I need the money, right? So you break it all down. Well, the final why is typically so I can do what I want when I want. I want freedom of time. And that's what I mean by most people don't even realize that their goal is the wrong goal. I want to be able to leave here right now and go play ice hockey with my friends. I can do that. Can you, or can most of the listeners? No. And I'm not saying, and maybe you can, of course, I'm not trying to be negative. Most people, they can't, right?
Yeah.
So, but, and there's no way I could ever have time freedom without the financial freedom. I mean, there's a process, but what real estate will do and landlording will do is they'll get you passive income, which creates, that's cash flow, passive income. It gets you the financial freedom, which then ultimately gets what everybody wants, even if they don't know they want it. It's freedom of time to do what they want, wake up when they want, go do what they want when they want. And I have to ask permission. I have to worry about the bank account going into the red. It's the time. So that's real estate. So to me, I'm already there. I'm not trying to brag, but I am. It makes me a coach, does it not? But what I would love to do at this point is to continue growing that, to show people how possible it is. It ain't easy, folks. I'm not telling you it's easy, but there's a big difference between simple and easy. It's incredibly simple. It ain't easy, but it's incredibly simple. So if you're willing to hustle and put in the work, there's no reason that you can't have a small portfolio of rentals within 3 to 5 years that brings in the same amount of money as the job you probably have right now.
Yeah.
Just are the listeners going to take the action? That's the challenge right there. So
for sure. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas. A lot of well, I guess the easiest one, a lot of great ideas out there, but not a lot of people that actually do the actions based off the ideas or follow the structure. And I think you put it perfectly. I mean, I say it pretty frequently. It's simple. I mean, not easy, because I think that's so true. I mean, the paths have already been laid out for you. Now you can get creative with how you market it. I mean, we talked about kind of abandoned signs, mailers, door knocking, do all that kind of stuff. And putting the piggy bank.
I'm listening.
Listening. I mean, I like, so investors can get really, really creative. I mean, oh my gosh, I haven't done it more recently because kind of our market over here, but NODs, notice of defaults. And man, this was like 5 years ago. I think it was, or 4 years ago, but it looked like a UPS. We left your package, call us for your package kind of thing. Yeah. On the door. And I was like, my gosh, man, people are, it's creative. I mean, the structure of it, getting in front of the right people, basically showing your value and basically helping them get to wherever they want to get to. I mean, it's like David's talked about. Okay, David, now this is going to be a question that there's probably so many onions to this question. Yeah, I'm going to still throw it out there and see kind of how the answer comes down. Is there a community, a state that you feel is better to invest in with holding property because maybe the rental market, because the laws in the community? Is there anything like that, or a community you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, really, I like to tell all my students, invest local. Now, if you live in San Francisco or Los Angeles or even San Diego, that might not be super easy for you. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I said it was going to be simple. That's a difference, right? So you can still invest local. 2 or 3 hours is local. You don't need to go invest in Oklahoma if you live in San Francisco. Fresno's not too far away. I know people that buy rentals in Fresno all day. I got 10 friends that have at least 10 rentals there. One of my friends has got 80 or 90 in that town, right? So local's better because if you got to go, you got to go. You don't have to jump on a plane necessarily, right? So, find the outskirts of a town or a big city if you live there. Like I wouldn't tell any of my students to go buy something in Manhattan that doesn't make sense for the average person, So personally local or local-ish is going to be your best bet, right? Stay out of the big city centers, even if you're in Houston or Dallas, or you're not in California, New York, New Jersey. There's great places in Florida. Can you afford a place on Miami Beach? Probably not. But there's a million houses in the state of Florida, my friends. A million, literally a million houses. They're everywhere. So to answer your question in the most simplest way, local's better-ish, local-ish, right? Because if you got to go change a light bulb or let somebody in because they lost their key or fix a leaky toilet, then you can do it yourself and save money, right? I don't do it at this point. I have property managers and guys that work for me, but I do it at scale. In the beginning, I did it all myself. And that's what I tell my students. Do your own property management. Do your own small maintenance, assuming you can. And if you don't want to, then bring on somebody else. But every time you bring somebody else on and you create a bigger and bigger and bigger team, your overhead goes up. So it really depends on your goal. Is it to create wealth via real estate? Of course, that's what I do. That's what I'm talking about. Or is it to create income? There's two different approaches. Rental properties can create tons of wealth. It created me $4.5 million last I checked. Now that's paper money. It's assets on a spreadsheet, but I can go in the bank and I can borrow against that up to 80%. And here's the cool part about creating wealth. Most people don't know this. And this is, again, lines really, really well with the road to growth. So what I'm talking about right now is growth of your net worth. All right. When you make money, that's income. You pay tax. When you buy a rental property and use the BRRRR method, or maybe not even, or just buy a deal and you capture 30 grand worth of equity, you don't have to pay tax on that. It's not income, it's wealth. Most people don't realize that wealth isn't taxed unless you die. Income is. So if you want to snowball, AKA growth, anything, especially your money and your net worth, you need to pay the least amount of taxes that you possibly can. Most people, if you ask them on the street, just like I was saying earlier, they don't know their goal. Most people don't know it. I'm not ashamed to tell you guys what your goal really is. It's time. Because it's the one thing that's finite. We can make more money. We can't make more time. If you ask the average person on the street, right, and you ask them, what their goal is, in terms of money and net worth, they're going to tell you, well, it's to increase their income. It's, instead of making 50, let's make 100. Instead of making 100, let's make 300. Well, that's great and all, but the true amount of taxes that we pay is over half. And again, if you ask somebody on the street, how much taxes do you think you pay? They're going to say, I don't know, like 28, 30%. Well, that's not wrong. That's when you earn your money. 30% gone. You make money, gone. Now you want to go buy groceries, 10% gone off the top. You get to pay taxes when you make it. You got to pay taxes when you spend it. And then if you want to buy cool stuff like houses or boats or planes or RVs or trailers, you got to pay, or motorcycles, you got to pay to own those every year with personal property taxes. And if you have real estate, you have real estate taxes. And then you have inflation deteriorating it. So when you add all this up, and there's certain things like beer and gas and cigarettes that if you buy, I don't like to buy any of those things. I don't smoke, drink, or drive a gas vehicle. But there's an additional tax on those items above the sales tax. So the amount of money you get to keep at the end of the day is less than 50%. So how easy is it to grow something that keeps getting cut in half every time you bring it in? It's almost impossible, my friends. I haven't found a simple or easy way to do that except through real estate, because I can go create a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 equity capture event, which is wealth created, not taxed, and grow because I can borrow against that. And when I refinance a property or borrow against equity, that's not income either. That's debt. So you can essentially create millions of dollars worth of wealth, tax-free, borrow against it, tax-free, and grow literally like a snowball down a hill, compounding like crazy. But if you continue to pay taxes, that won't happen, or it's just going to slowly grow. So my goal used to be wake up, make more money. 4 or 5 years ago, I woke up and said, that's a stupid goal. That's what everybody's goal is. I'm going to be different. Now my goal is to create wealth. And I want to create 500,000 to $1 million a year in wealth because I paid this much in tax on it. Zero. Now, of course, you have to have income. You got to pay your bills. But do you need $500,000 worth of income? Me, no, I don't. I can get by on 80 to 100K. But I can create $500,000, $1 million worth of wealth. And if I need money, I can sell the asset or I can borrow against it. I prefer to borrow against it because then it's less income to pay the taxes on. So just a quick lesson to all the people out there that want to grow a business, whatever it may be, ideally your net worth, so you can have financial freedom, which then leads to time freedom. See how it all lines up really nice and clean like that?
And for anyone listening, you pay and you get what you pay for, right? So if it's a coach, if it's basically a CPA, if it's a realtor, whoever it might be, you get what you pay for. And so having a great CPA, having a great coach, and if you have a coach, because I've had a variety of different coaches on here, if you have a coach right there, make sure they're doing what you want to be done for yourself in the future. I mean, if they haven't done it themselves, it might not be the
actively
best coach
doing
for
it.
Yeah, or actively doing it.
I would never hire somebody that's done 10,000 deals but hasn't done one in 10 years. That's irrelevant to me. I'd rather have a guy that's done 10 last week, but only 10. He knows more about today's economy, market setting, all of the above than that guy before. So I agree 100% with what you just said.
All right, David, let's finish it off here. Someone's listening right now and they're looking to get a coach, looking to get into the investment game. They're looking to just reach out to you because just want to pick your brain. What's the best way of getting more information?
Absolutely. And guys, I may not be the best person for you. I'm going to be straight up about that. You said it earlier. I second that. I'm not here to tell you to hire me. I'm here to provide value to the listeners and the audience, and I'm ultra grateful for this opportunity. So again, thank you so much for having me on. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, and hopefully the audience did. I teach people how to buy rentals, and I love teaching people how to use the BRRRR method to do so because it allows you to scale. And scaling is basically a road to growth. It's very similar to the title of the episode. You got to grow, right? So if somebody's interested to learn more about that and they want to learn more about me, they can book a call with my team. The website is wholesalinginc.com/rentals. If they don't want to do that, that's fine too. I would highly recommend, though, anybody that's interested in real estate investing to start reading books, start listening to real estate specific podcasts, go to YouTube. This is a perfect opportunity. You're already probably watching this on YouTube now, right? And then eventually hire a coach. It may not be something that you do right off the bat, but the coach is going to do a lot of things for you. But the most valuable thing they're going to do is they're going to shorten the time of success. You can go out and you can piddle and you can try. And I'm not even talking about real estate investing. I'm talking about coaching in general. You can go out and you can learn on your own, but are you going to have any accountability without a coach? Probably not. Are you going to learn from their mistakes? Well, that's impossible because they're not even there at that point. So there's just so many other advantages of just education. Education's out there at this point. Even when I hire a coach, I paid a coach $25,000 about a month and a half ago to learn some new things. And the thing is he didn't really even teach me anything new, but he taught me 2 or 3 principles that were worth the $25,000. And I had to pay that money to listen to him to learn those principles. If he would have told me, I wouldn't have just brushed him off like, I'm not interested. But when I had my money on the line, now I'm ultra focused on what he has to say. So that's another thing that is very important. Going out and hiring a coach for, $100 a month that is going to have 300 students in the group coaching call is not going to be super valuable to you. Not because there's not good content there, but because you aren't invested. If you pay $5 or $10,000 to somebody, you're going to show up, you're going to listen, you're going to do the homework. So sometimes paying money for the coach is as valuable as the coach is what they actually provide you, because now you have given them your attention. Focus is the ultimate currency these days. Focus.
Yeah. If you're getting something for free, you're probably not going to see the value in it. It's going to vary based coach to coach what they're going to charge you. Yeah. If you're getting it for free, again, you're probably not going to see the value in it. Now, thank you, David, for being here onto the road to growth. For people listening here, if you're looking for a coach, go in the show notes, look up David's information. If you're looking to do land deals, I've had past guests on here that focus strictly on land deals right there.
Yeah, we do land. Land's great.
There's so many different avenues out there, but the one key takeaway I'm just going to tell anyone listening is basically, if you find an opportunity out there, there's going to be someone that's going to give you the money. There's someone that's going to give you the guidance. The opportunity is going to be key. So if you find the opportunity,
can't go loud, but I'm going to ring my bell here. I got guys in the next office making cold calls, but I cannot agree more with what you just said.
If you find the opportunity, go after it. Don't think you can't do it. There's going to be someone that's want to be a part of it and get your piece in that pie. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe, please share, and go in the show notes. Bye, everyone.